Why should you inherit her restaurant, Sam? Evan sneered, jabbing a finger at the menu board. I steadied myself. Grandma Lily's cafe buzzed like it was alive again after her passing. Plates clinked, laughter echoed, and the aroma of her famous pot roast filled the air. Because Grandma believed in me, I snapped. She knew I could carry on her legacy. Evan scoffed, crossing his arms. You're just a widow with no real experience running a business. His words stung, but I stood my ground. I've been helping out here since I was 12, Evan. This place means everything to me. The place should have gone to me. I'm the oldest. It's my right, he continued, raising his voice above the chatter. Folks turned their heads, sensing the tension. Pulling him aside, I gave a sharp look. Evan, not here. Let's respect Grandma's memory. He huffed, stomping out of the kitchen. Our head chef, Maria, approached, shaking her head disapprovingly. Sam, you're doing great. Don't let him get to you, Maria said, patting my back. Her eyes shone with sympathy. I'll try. It's just hard when your own brother wants to see you fail, I said, forcing a smile. The day continued, with a steady stream of regulars. Mrs. Thompson was among the first, her face lighting up as she saw the familiar decor and tasted her favorite apple pie. Grandma would be so proud of you, dear, she said, her eyes misty. Thanks, Mrs. Thompson, that means a lot, I replied, feeling the warmth of her words ease my nerves. As the clock neared closing time, Evan slipped back in, his expression dark. We need to talk, he insisted, leaning against the doorway of our office. So talk, I said, arranging the day's earnings. You really think you can keep this place afloat with your soft heart? His tone was a mix of irritation and genuine concern. I know I can. This town loves Grandma Lily's. They loved her and they believe in what she built. He sighed, a rare moment of vulnerability. Look, I'm sorry about the yelling. It's just, I always felt like I was in your shadow even though I'm older. The business world is cutthroat, Sam. Then maybe the business world isn't right for us, I said softly. This place isn't just a business, it's a community, it's family. Nostalgia won't pay the bills, he replied, though his voice had lost its earlier bite. Then let's make it work together, I offered, my hand outstretched. But Evan looked past me, his eyes hardening again. We'll see, Sam. We'll see. An uneasy truce settled between us as the reopening day wrapped. The restaurant had been a hit, my staff and I managing the rush with a mix of pride and exhaustion. Locking up, I lingered in the empty dining room, the ghosts of countless memories flitting around me. The first meal Grandma Lily taught me to cook, the secret laugh we shared whenever a customer praised our magic touch, the tight hugs and late-night talks. I wouldn't let Evan's bitterness ruin what she left behind. Determined, I took a deep breath and walked out, locking the door to what was more than just a restaurant. It was my heart, my home, and I would fight for it. The cool night air kissed my cheeks, and as I gazed at the starlit sky, I silently promised Grandma Lily that her legacy was in good hands. We can't keep feeding you for free, Max, I said firmly, blocking his path to the kitchen. Max grinned lazily, sliding his sunglasses onto his head. Come on, Sam, it's just a burger. What's family for? Evan's friend doesn't count as family, I shot back, glancing at the clock. The lunch rush had just started, and I needed to get back to work. Evan, who was wiping down a nearby table, looked up and saw Max. He threw the rag down and walked over. What's the problem here? The problem is your freeloader, I replied, pointing at Max. Max raised his hands defensively. Hey, don't be like that. I'm just here for some lunch and to catch up with my old buddy. Evan sighed, glancing between us. It's fine, Sam. Just give him the burger. If you want him to eat, he needs to pay like everyone else. I held my ground, the frustration bubbling beneath my calm exterior. Max's grin faded, replaced by a smirk. All right, I'll pay. He pulled a crumpled bill from his pocket and threw it on the counter. Happy now? I didn't answer, just turned back to the kitchen, my face hot with anger. Maria gave me a questioning look as I entered. It's nothing, I muttered, tying my apron tighter. Just Max being Max. The busy lunch hour went by in a blur. Orders were shouted, plates were passed, and my staff moved like a well-oiled machine. But I couldn't shake the feeling of dread every time I saw Max chatting animatedly with Evan. By the time the rush slowed, Max was still there, lounging at a table. Evan joined him, and they started talking in low voices. My skin prickled. Something felt off. I approached their table cautiously. What's going on? Evan looked up, his expression neutral. Just talking about old times, you got a problem with that? Yes, I do, I snapped. Max has no business here. We're trying to run a respectable place. Max leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. Respectable, huh? Seems a little uptight if you ask me. Then maybe you should leave, I shot back. Evan stood up, his face inches from mine. Don't tell my friends to leave. This is just as much mine as it is yours. That's where you're wrong, I said through gritted teeth. You don't get to waltz in and take over just because Grandma's gone. I was entrusted with this place. Evan's eyes flashed with anger, but he didn't respond. Instead, he pulled Max up and led him out of the restaurant. As they passed through the door, Max turned and winked at me. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my racing heart. I'm worried about him, Maria said quietly as she came up beside me. You and me both, I replied. But I won't let him ruin this for us, for Grandma. That night, after closing, I lingered in the quiet kitchen. The hum of the freezers was the only sound. Running my hand over the counter, I remembered the many late nights spent here with Grandma Lily, learning her recipes, her techniques, and her love for this place. I wouldn't let Evan and Max tarnish her legacy. No matter what, I would protect what she had built. This restaurant was more than a business. It was our family's heart and soul. And I wouldn't let anyone take that from us. Why should she get everything? Max hissed, his voice echoing off the dingy walls of his apartment. We deserve a piece of the pie, too. Evan looked torn, pacing the small room. But how? She's done nothing but good for this place. Max smirked, leaning back against the worn-out couch. Good people are the easiest to trick, Evan. Trust me on this. Evan paused, a pained expression on his face. I don't want to hurt her. She's my sister. Did she care about your dreams when she took over the restaurant? Max pressed. While you're out here struggling, she's riding on the coattails of Grandma Lily. Evan clenched his fists, frustration boiling over. So, what's your plan? Max's eyes glinted with malice. We start small, make things go wrong. She looks incompetent, the business starts to fail. Then, we swoop in with a solution. Evan frowned, still hesitant. She's not stupid, Max. She'll catch on. Not if we're careful. Max countered. You change the menu without telling her. Let customers complain. We spread rumors. Slowly, she loses control. Evan sighed, the weight of betrayal heavy on his shoulders. But the thought of finally stepping out from his sister's shadow was too tempting to ignore. All right, I'm in, but we do this cleanly, no lasting damage. Max grinned. Of course, just enough to push her over the edge. The next day, Evan arrived at the restaurant early before anyone else. He started pulling out old recipes, ones that hadn't been used in years, and replaced some of Grandma's classics. When Maria and the rest of the staff arrived, confusion was written all over their faces. Evan, what's going on? Maria asked, bewildered as she noticed the changes. We're refreshing the menu, Evan announced, trying to sound authoritative. It's time for something new. I wasn't told about this, I said, arriving just in time to hear the commotion. It's for the better, Evan snapped, frustration seeping into his voice. We need to innovate. You should have discussed this with me first, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. We keep Grandma's recipes for a reason. The customers love them. We can't stay stagnant forever, he retorted. Trust me, it'll work. Reluctantly, I let the changes happen, keeping a close eye on the reaction. As expected, regular customers started to complain. Mrs. Thompson barely touched her meal, her usual smile replaced with disappointment. What happened to the pot roast, Sam? She asked, frowning. It doesn't taste like it used to. I glanced at Evan, who shrugged nonchalantly. We're trying new things, Mrs. Thompson. Sorry for any inconvenience. As the days passed, complaints grew. I could see loyal customers drifting away, the warm, familiar atmosphere of Grandma Lily's starting to fray at the edges. One evening after closing, I confronted Evan in the kitchen. You're changing the menu without telling me? It's for the better, he snapped. You'll see. I'm not sure this is what Grandma would have wanted, I said softly, feeling a pang of guilt for doubting my brother. This place needs to evolve, Sam, Evan argued. We can't keep living in the past. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. Evan's sudden drive to change things felt off, and with Max lurking around, my unease grew. As I locked up that night, the darkened street outside seemed more foreboding than usual. I swore to myself that I would keep a closer eye on Evan and Max. They were up to something, and I wasn't about to let them tear down what Grandma Lily had built. The stakes were higher now, with our family's legacy hanging in the balance. I would protect this place, even if it meant going against my own blood. "You're changing the menu? Without telling me?" I confronted Evan, anger simmering under my calm tone. The kitchen was quiet, our staff gone home for the night. "It's for the better," Evan snapped back, slamming a cabinet shut. "You'll see." I took a deep breath, fighting to keep my composure. This isn't what Grandma would have wanted. "Well, Grandma's gone," he shouted, his face red with frustration. "We need to move forward, Sam. You're stuck in the past." Gritting my teeth, I responded, "Moving forward doesn't mean throwing away what made this place special." Evan shook his head, turning away. "If you don't like the changes, maybe you should have refused the inheritance." That stung. I clenched my fists, my heart pounding. "This is our family's legacy, not just yours or mine. Ours." "Then act like it," he muttered, storming out of the kitchen. The next day I noticed small changes that Evan and Max had implemented behind my back. The kitchen staff, loyal to Grandma Lily, murmured their confusion and concern. "Sam, we're running low on some ingredients," Maria said, showing me the inventory list. "The new dishes are using them up faster than we planned." I frowned, frustration bubbling up. We might need to adjust our orders. With these changes, we can't keep up with demand. By afternoon, customers began to comment on the inconsistency. Regulars whispered their dissatisfaction, their loyalty starting to waver. "You changed the pie recipe?" Mr. Allen asked, his brows furrowed. "It's not like it used to be." "Mr. Allen, I'm sorry. We'll look into it," I replied, casting a stern glance at Evan, who was pretending not to notice the growing discontent. In the kitchen, I confronted Max. "What are you trying to do here?" Max smirked, unfazed. "Innovating. You should try it sometime." "This isn't innovation. It's sabotage," I snapped, stepping closer. "What's your endgame, Max?" "Careful, Sam. You're starting to sound paranoid," he said with a condescending chuckle. That night, I overheard Evan and Max whispering in the office. I stayed hidden, straining to catch their words. "We need to push her harder," Max hissed. "Make her look incompetent." Evan's voice wavered. "I don't want to destroy her. Just take control." "This is the only way," Max insisted. "Trust me." Heart pounding, I slipped away before they noticed. The realization hit hard. They weren't just making changes, they were plotting to push me out. Another week passed with increasing complaints. Our loyal staff grew restless. "Sam, we need to do something," Maria urged. "Customers are unhappy, and it's affecting everyone." I nodded, formulating a plan. "We'll start by reverting the menu changes. I won't let Evan and Max ruin this place." Late one night, long after closing, I gathered the staff. "We need to stand together," I said, my voice firm. "We're going back to Grandma Lily's recipes. We'll take shifts to clean, organize, and set things right." The staff rallied, their loyalty unwavering. Together, we worked through the night, restoring the kitchen to its former glory. In the morning, the first customers noticed the difference immediately. Mrs. Thompson sighed in relief after her first bite. "This is the pie I remember," she said, smiling warmly. Standing behind the counter, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. Evan and Max could plot all they wanted, but I had the staff and the community on my side, and I wasn't backing down. "We found rat droppings in the storeroom. Health inspectors are coming," Maria informed me, her face pale with shock. "What? That's impossible. We clean it regularly," I stammered, the reality sinking in. This was bad, very bad. "They're here now," she whispered, pointing to two inspectors talking to Evan at the entrance. As I approached, Evan was nodding seriously, his expression grave. "This is unacceptable," one inspector said, shaking his head. "I assure you, there's been some mistake," I began, trying to stay calm. "Miss Hayes, we received an anonymous tip," the inspector cut me off. His steely gaze covered the restaurant like a net, squeezing out any hope of an innocent mistake. Evan stood by, looking concerned but detached, like he was watching a train wreck from afar. They moved through the kitchen, checking every nook and cranny, making notes. My staff watched, worried eyes on me. "We've never had this problem before," I said, following closely behind. "We pride ourselves on cleanliness." The second inspector glanced at me, clipboard in hand. "We'll see." After a thorough inspection, they gathered us in the dining area. "We found multiple health code violations," they announced, handing me a report. "Wait, this can't be," I heard myself say. We'll have to close temporarily for a thorough cleaning and re-inspection, the inspector continued without sympathy. It's for the safety of your patrons. My heart sank as they left, leaving us with a list of mandates and a looming sense of dread. We have to fix this, I said to my staff, masking my despair with determination. I know this isn't true, but we'll clean top to bottom. Evan caught my eye as I headed to the storeroom to inspect the alleged rat droppings. He followed, his face expressionless until we were alone. This is a disaster, Sam, he murmured, almost smug. You think I don't know that? I snapped. We have to figure out how this happened. Evan shrugged. Maybe we're not as clean as we thought. Or maybe someone made sure we weren't, I replied, glaring at him. He raised an eyebrow. Are you accusing me? Who else would benefit from this, Evan? I asked, pushing past him. You've wanted me out since day one. Think what you want. He called after me. But you better focus on fixing this mess. As I inspected the storeroom with Maria, I found the evidence planted too perfectly. Rat droppings in corners we never missed cleaning. It was clear someone had set us up. By evening, the news had spread. Loyal customers asked questions, offering support where they could. But I saw the doubt in their eyes. Max showed up, leaning against the counter with a sly smile. Heard you had a bit of trouble. Save it, Max, I said, brushing past him. He glanced around the empty restaurant. Evan and I were talking, Sam. If you're feeling overwhelmed, maybe it's time to consider selling. Not a chance, I said, my voice cold. Hey, think about it, Max continued. You're a widow trying to run a business on your own. It's tough. I turned to face him. This place is my life, Max. I'll fight for it to my last breath. He raised his hands in mock surrender, just a suggestion. As he left, I felt the weight of their scheme pressing down on me. They wanted me to break, to give up everything Grandma Lily had built, but I wouldn't make it easy for them. That night, alone in the quiet restaurant, I made my decision. I would clean, comply, and fight. I would rebuild our reputation brick by brick, no matter what Evan and Max threw my way. I owed it to Grandma Lily. I owed it to myself. And come what may, I would not let them win. I can't believe you did this, I said, clutching the hidden stash of documents I found in Evan's office. My hands shook as I held the papers that implicated Evan and Max in their plan to sabotage the restaurant. Evan stood at the door, caught off guard. His face hardened. It was always mine to begin with, he retorted coldly. Fury surged through me. Did Grandma Lily matter so little to you? Did our family's legacy mean nothing? Don't act all high and mighty, he shot back. You're just trying to play the martyr here. You think you've got it all figured out, don't you? I scanned the deceitful contracts and invoices, the evidence of health code tampering. This could ruin us, Evan. You've crossed a line. His eyes flickered with guilt for a brief moment before settling into a steely resolve. It's business, Sam. You wouldn't understand. Business? I spat, throwing the papers onto his desk. This is our home. This is family. Or has Max poisoned you so much that you've forgotten that? Max opened my eyes, Evan snapped. He showed me that you don't have what it takes to keep this place going. Then why didn't Grandma leave it to you? I demanded. She knew your heart wasn't in it. Evan stepped closer, anger radiating off him. You always think you're so perfect. The golden child who can do no wrong. But I'm done playing second fiddle. Your jealousy is going to destroy everything, I whispered, stepping back. The next day, my plan took shape. With the overwhelming proof of their deceit in my hands, I sought out allies. First, I called a meeting with the restaurant's loyal staff. Look at this, I said, spreading the documents across the dining table. Evan and Max have been sabotaging us from the start. Maria gasped, eyes wide. How could Evan do this to us? Greed, I said simply, but we're not going down without a fight. We spent hours devising a strategy. Using the power of social media, I reached out to our loyal customers, informing them of the truth while maintaining a discreet tone. That's right, Mrs. Thompson, I said over the phone. They've been ruining our business. We need your support to expose them. Anything for Grandma Lily's, she replied firmly. The next few days were tense. We cleaned, complied with health mandates, and prepared for the big reveal. Evan and Max continued their schemes, oblivious to our counterstrike. On the planned day, with my loyal staff and customers in position, I arranged to meet Evan and Max at a local diner. I feigned defeat. We're signing the papers tomorrow, Evan smirked, thinking he'd won. Perfect, I replied, masking my true emotions. I wouldn't miss it for the world. The next morning at the diner, the mood was tense. Evan and Max arrived confident, unknowing about the trap they were walking into. I slid the fabricated sales documents across the table, every eye in the room watching us. As they reached for the papers, signal lights from loyal staff who were recording the interaction on their phones flashed. I stood tall and said loudly, "This ends now. Everyone, meet Evan and Max, who plan to sabotage their own family's livelihood." Gasps filled the room. The customers, armed with smartphones, caught every word and shared it live. Evan's face paled, his confidence shattering. Max tried to maintain his composure, but it was too late. The community, our community, now knew the truth. "You've been using us all," I continued, pointing at Evan. "This restaurant is a family, and you betrayed it." The room erupted in support. People clapped, cheered, and declared their loyalty to Grandma Lily's legacy. Watching our plan unfold, I realized that Grandma's faith in our community was well placed. As Evan and Max were driven out, their faults laid bare for all to see, I felt the bonds of family and community solidify around me. They would not win. Not now. Not ever. "We're signing the papers tomorrow," Evan smirked, leaning back in his chair like he'd already won. "Perfect. I wouldn't miss it for the world," I replied, faking defeat. My heart pounded, but I kept my face neutral. The next day, I arrived at the local diner, the air thick with anticipation. I spotted Evan and Max at a corner table, their smug faces beaming with premature victory. Clutching the signed documents and my silent resolve, I approached. "Ready to make it official?" Max said, grinning like a cat with a trapped mouse. "Yeah," I muttered, sliding into the booth. Underneath the table, I sent a discreet text signal to Maria and the loyal staff outside. They were ready. As I handed over the paperwork, Evan's eyes sparkled. Finally, some common sense. "Here's your pen," Max said, making a show of it. Before Evan could sign, the diner's door burst open. In paraded our loyal customers and staff, phones out, recording everything. Mrs. Thompson took center stage, her voice booming with conviction. "Stop right there," she shouted. "We all know what you've done, and the community deserves the truth." Evan's face drained of color. "What is this?" he stammered, looking around in panic. "This is the end of your deceit," I said, standing tall. "Everyone here knows you and Max tried to sabotage Grandma Lily's, and we have it all on record." Max jumped up, trying to save face. "You can't just barge in here and—" "Oh, we can," Maria cut in, brandishing a folder of evidence. "Here's everything. Forged documents, fake health violations, the works. You're exposed." Evan's eyes darted around, seeking an escape. "No, this isn't happening," he whispered, his confidence crumbling. "It is," I said steadily. "This community stands by the restaurant Grandma built, and we won't let you destroy it." The diner erupted with support. Voices shouted about loyalty, family, and justice. Every word was captured live, spreading like wildfire through social media. Evan crumpled into his chair, defeated. Max slinked back, trying to fade into the background, but it was too late. The evidence and public outrage left no wiggle room. As the confrontation continued, Maria approached me with a reassuring smile. "You did it, Sam. We all did." I nodded, feeling tears of relief prick at my eyes. "Thank you, everyone. Your support means the world." Mrs. Thompson stepped forward, embracing me tightly. "We're with you, dear. Always." The community rallied behind us, and Evan and Max's schemes lay shattered at our feet. The loyal customers and staff marched back to Grandma Lily's, ready to rebuild and renew. That evening, we gathered at the restaurant. The mood was celebratory, charged with victory and camaraderie. We unveiled plans to reintegrate old menu items and implement new ideas with community input. It was a fresh start built on shared passion and trust. As the night drew on, surrounded by the laughter and love of our extended family, I felt Grandma Lily's presence more than ever. Her legacy wasn't just safe, it was flourishing, reborn with the very spirit she had instilled in us all. Evan and Max tried to cast us into shadows, but we found strength in each other's light. Now, with renewed determination, we faced the future head-on, ready to honor Grandma Lily in every dish and every smile shared within these walls. The trap had been set, and they'd walked right into it. Now it was our time to rise. "You did this to yourself," I stated firmly, looking Evan in the eyes. "It's not over," he whispered, but I could see his resolve breaking as he stood in front of the now bustling Grandma Lily's on our grand reopening day. Customers streamed in, their faith restored. Evan's shoulders sagged, defeated. Max had already slunk away, outcast by a community that once welcomed him. The cheers and laughter of loyal patrons filled the air, wiping away the remnants of our turmoil. Mrs. Thompson waved at me from her usual spot, her eyes twinkling with approval. As I entered the restaurant, Marta met me with a wide grin. "It's perfect, Sam. Grandma Lily would be so proud." "I hope so," I replied, feeling a rush of warmth. We had revamped the menu, blending cherished classics with new, innovative dishes inspired by our community's input. The atmosphere was electric, a testament to our hard work and resilience. "Hey, we've got a crowd waiting for a table," Maria called from the front. "Let's get to it," I responded, tying my apron with a sense of renewed purpose. Throughout the day, I moved through the restaurant with energy I hadn't felt in months. Regulars and newcomers alike praised the food, the service, the spirit. Evan lingered at the edge of the crowd, eyes downcast. As the day wore on, I found a moment to approach him outside. "Evan," I called softly. He looked up, his eyes hollow. "I messed up, Sam," he admitted. "I let my jealousy get the best of me." "And you let Max manipulate you," I added. "But mostly, you hurt this family." "I know," he sighed. "And I'm sorry. I don't expect forgiveness, but I want to make it right." "We'll see," I said, my voice firm but not unkind. Actions speak louder than words. As the evening wrapped up, the staff gathered for a toast. Glasses clinked and laughter spilled over. For the first time in months, the weight of our struggles seemed to lift. "Here's to Grandma Lily," Maria toasted, "and to Sam for leading us through the storm. To Grandma Lily and the heart she put into this place," I added, my voice steady, "and to all of you for standing by me." The next few weeks flew by in a whirlwind of activity and growth. The community rallied around us, their support unwavering. Evan, true to his word, began volunteering at local charities and offered to help in any way he could at the restaurant under strict supervision. One morning, as I prepared a batch of Grandma's famous cookies, I found myself smiling. This place was more than bricks and mortar. It was a living testament to the love, resilience, and community spirit that Grandma Lily had cultivated. I looked around the kitchen, feeling an overwhelming sense of gratitude. We had weathered betrayal and hardship, but we emerged stronger, united by a shared purpose. Evan approached, looking more at ease than I'd seen him in years. "Sam, I've got some ideas for community outreach events," he said hesitantly. We worked side by side, planning events that would give back to the community that had given us so much. With every small act of kindness, trust began to rebuild. One evening, as the sun set, casting a warm glow over the bustling restaurant, I stood outside, taking it all in. Maria joined me, her eyes twinkling. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" "We have," I agreed, "and there's so much more to do." Grandma Lily's was more than just a restaurant. It was a beacon of hope, a place where the past and future met, and with every dish served, every smile shared, we honored her memory. As the stars twinkled above, I felt a profound sense of peace. In that moment, I knew we were exactly where we were meant to be, carrying Grandma Lily's legacy forward, one day at a time.